Hey guys, my name is Matthew Spositi, and welcome to the Matthew Spositi Program. Yes, I know that's not the most original name, but the name will have to do. Maybe somewhere down the line we'll go ahead and change up the name, but for now, the Matthew Spositi Program is going to have to do. So today is episode 1 of my very first podcast. I've never done anything like this, so you guys are going to have to kind of bear with me. I hope it's not too bad, but in all honesty, I think it's going to be perfectly fine. I mean, I've done some YouTube videos, and I have a blog and everything, so I'm a little familiar with this, but I've only really been doing those things for a few months. For those of you who haven't checked any of that stuff out, the website or the blog is newmillenniumwealth.com, and the YouTube channel is literally my first and last name, Matthew Spositi. So if you guys haven't already, seeing as which is the first episode, you probably will not have, go ahead and check that stuff out and see what I've got. So today I kind of wanted to go over with you guys who I am and what the show is about, to be honest. So my name is Matthew Spositi, as I've already said. I'm 30 years old. I've been married for 8 years now. I have 2 dogs. I live in North Texas, Dallas, Texas, to be specific. And honestly, I've lived in Texas all my life. One of the reasons I'm kind of starting the show is largely because I want an outlet to talk about the things that I want. So clearly the show will have a very general direction with regards to financial freedom and economics, but we will talk about a whole host of things. If I just want to come in and I'm frustrated about, like, say, a movie I watched over the weekend, if I went to go see one of the Avengers movies or something, and for whatever reason it's just really bugging me, I may very well just come in and talk about that. So clearly we're going to be going more for a business, more trading, investing, and economic kind of show, more that teaches you guys to become financially free or talks about the subject of financial freedom. We won't really talk a ton about politics, but if for any of you guys who've ever done anything with economics, you know that it would be very difficult to talk about economics without talking about some politics. But we're probably not going to get very much into social politics and things of that nature, or at least things that are on the news. Maybe I like to read a lot of other blogs and whatnot, like Foundation for Economic Education or Mises.org. I very well may read an article from there if I want, or I'll talk about an article, or somewhere around those lines. But we're going to be talking about ways to improve your life. We're going to be talking about how to become financially free. And in order to do that, I feel that it's necessary to understand economics, understand how markets work. Guys, I don't care what it is you're in, there's a market for everything. There's a market for advertising costs. There's a market for advertising costs within a certain subcategory. There's a market for housing. There's a market for all kinds of stuff. And it's really important that we understand how markets ebb and flow, particularly with economics, job reports, trading and investing, any kind of asset that you're looking at. It's really important that we understand these subjects. So that's more or less what we're going to be talking about on the show. In terms of the show's schedule, there really is none as of right now. I'm going to be trying to do at least one a week. We'll see. I'll probably get more than that done within 1 week, but at least that's the goal. But in terms of a time, I'm not really going to go ahead and basically commit to any particular schedule. And the reason is not because I'm trying to be lazy or anything of the sort. I'm a very, very busy guy. I'm trying to become financially free myself. I guess we go ahead and segue into that topic. As of right now, I am not financially free. I work a part-time job, and my wife is she's the primary breadwinner. She's the one that makes all the money. And I decided when I graduated college, actually I kind of decided a little after that I wanted to start my own business. I wanted to become an entrepreneur and find a way to make money on my own terms. I didn't want to work for somebody else making them wealthy and being reliant on basically the job market. I also wanted to be mobile. If I want to get up and move to New Zealand or somewhere like that, then I want to have the ability to do that. I don't want to be stuck in any one particular location. So, it's things like that kind of really got me into this, and or really got me into all the subjects that with regards to trading and economics and politics and all that kind of stuff. So in the end, this is really me talking about financial freedom, all the ways that I have learned to become financially free, and also it's also me talking about how you guys can become financially free as well, and also talking about my journey to getting there. I think what happens a lot of times is when A lot of people will already come to the market with a product or some course for you to buy, and they're already telling you, hey, I'm already successful, I've made millions of dollars, been doing this for 5 years or whatever. And, I feel like there's so much education and information that is lost when people do that. What I really want is someone showing me the journey, showing me the struggle of what it's like to going from not being financially free, not controlling the main source of your income, which is what I define financial freedom as, but working for somebody else. And in reality, what does that journey even look like? Is it hard? Is it easy? Most people think it's incredibly hard. And to some extent it is, but it's never been easier in any of human history. It's never been easier to become financially free and to control the main source of your income. So I wanted to show you guys that journey, show you guys the pitfalls, the pros and cons to it, what to avoid, and really just show you my journey to doing that. And I wanted to kind of have an outlet for it, a place where I can come and talk about it. I also wanted to come and talk about things that I'm already pretty well versed in with regards to economics or trading and investing. Now, I will say I don't have a lot of investments, okay? I have some investments, but I don't have a ton yet. I'm building them up as time goes on. And with regards to trading, although I know a lot about it, I could probably teach a whole course on it at this point. I know the information really well. The problem is I've never really traded consistently. I'm not a consistently profitable trader. Now, I have traded, but not very much. And this is really my journey to becoming a consistently profitable trader, teaching you guys what exactly I'm going through. And if you guys are interested in that, check out my YouTube channel at Matthew Spositi. Basically, I will be, right now I'm doing a series on backtesting and creating a trading plan. If you guys are interested in trading, I will be focusing on the Forex market, which for those of you who don't know, it's the foreign exchange market, the currencies of the world. So the New Zealand dollar might trade against the United States dollar, and there'll be an exchange rate between the two, or the US dollar against the Japanese yen, and the exchange rates will fluctuate. All the exchange rates fluctuate with pretty much anything. The currencies also fluctuate against commodities, but that's more the futures market. So I like to focus primarily on the Forex market, and that's really what I like. A lot of the reason is primarily because the charts are a lot smoother. The markets are open 24/7, so you don't have a close and an open for the markets. Now, if your broker is an American broker and there's a holiday, clearly they're going to close down and not transmit data. But aside from that, though, it's a 24/7 market, so the charts are much smoother. But anyways, we're kind of getting off on a tangent there. The point is that I want to show you guys my journey to becoming financially free, to becoming a consistently profitable trader. I have a lot of knowledge. I know a lot about this stuff. I would say that I am an expert on a lot of these things, but I would also say that I'm still learning, and I'm still going through that process, and I want to end that journey. I want to invite you guys on that journey with me. And my goal is to create a community of individuals who are all passionate about the same thing, who are all striving for the same kind of stuff as I am. So let's kind of get more into who I am and kind of my background. So I've already kind of gone on and really discussed really more the elephant in the room and whatnot, but ultimately, politically speaking, like I said before, we probably won't be talking a lot about politics, or at least that's not going to be the main focus of the show, but we will talk about it, and most of you are probably wondering where I stand on the subject. And honestly, I come from a Christian conservative background. I am a Christian. In terms of my faith, I don't really subscribe to any of the denominations, Baptist or Methodist or anything of the sort. I would say I'm just non-denominational Christian. However, if you had to put me into a category, I guess you could put me into a category. I've been told that the way I follow my faith and all that kind of stuff, it's really more akin to what's the term? It's a born again Christian, and that's really more what I'm, I guess, more like than anything else. At least that's what I've been told. That being said, with regards to my conservative background, I come from a very revolt Republican all the time background. And now a lot of that has changed. I am not a Republican, nor am I a Democrat. I have a hard time kind of placing me. I guess I'm really close to what would be classified as a libertarian, but I don't subscribe to I would not say that I am a libertarian because I don't know. I'm a very complex person, right? I mean, we all are. We all want to group each other into categories and groups, to be honest, but unfortunately we're more complex than that. And when we really start looking at the fine details of who we are, we find that, well, we don't really quite fit in a circle hole. We don't really fit in a square hole or even a triangular hole. We don't perfectly fit anywhere. We can't really be grouped together in things. But the human mind always wants to overgeneralize. We always want to group things together. That's just the way our minds work. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just something to keep in mind, that just because somebody says they're Republican does not mean that they share the same Republican opinion as all other Republicans do, and so on and so forth. So I would probably classify myself, I mean, if I had to classify myself as something, if you really tied me down, held a gun to my head, and told me to choose, I guess I'd classify myself as a classical liberal, politically speaking. That's probably what I would classify myself as, a classical liberal. With regards to all of that, I really started down this path, and I guess what changed me was that I started to research Austrian economics with Ludwig von Mises, Murray Rothbard, and Friedrich Hayek, and there's a whole bunch of other Austrian economists out there, Karl Menger, and I can't remember the guy's name, Bomvavuk? I always mess his name up, or Henry Hazlitt, or there's another guy's name, Hans Hermann Hoppe. That's the other Austrian I was thinking of. And basically, all of these, I started reading all about all of these Austrian economists and political philosophers, and it really changed my life, my outlook. I found a mentor who kind of got me started down this path. I'd really have to attribute all of this really more to my father. He got into options trading years and years and years ago, and I was very skeptical of trading at first, but over time I started researching it. I started, looking into it for myself, and I started to realize that, hey, actually my dad was onto something. So I started researching how to trade, and before you know it, I found my mentor who taught me how to trade Forex. And ever since then, I've been researching and trying to absorb as much information and trying to create my own strategies and all sorts of stuff with regards to the subject. But the mentor that taught me all that was also a libertarian, and I had never really heard of libertarianism at that point in time. He was also heavily influenced by Austrian economics, and particularly, I think, Murray Rothbard and Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich Hayek. And that's really, so he had a podcast, and I started listening to him. I still listen to his show even today. And in the end, that's kind of where I started my path, or my walk. It really all started with my dad, and then I found a mentor to teach me all this stuff, and going from there. Guys, if you don't have a mentor yet, I would highly recommend that you get one. I've had multiple mentors in my life, and whenever you need to learn how to do anything, finding a mentor to teach you how to do that stuff is the best way to do anything. You need to have someone who's already achieved what you want to achieve, and then have them teach you how to do it. Now, most of the mentors I've never met personally, I've never talked to personally. Maybe I've exchanged some emails with them here and there, but that's basically about it. So it's not like you don't have to have a mentor that you physically have met. But it's important that you get one. I mean, guys, we're all looking to be followers. Even the most staunch leaders in our age are followers of somebody, of some ideology, or at least they were followers at one point in time. I believe that everyone's a follower. Everyone's a follower, not everybody's a leader. Leaders are still, however, followers. And ultimately, when you do choose somebody to be your mentor, you need to be very, very careful, because you are allowing that person to warp your mind, to influence you. And you need to be careful with who you're allowing to do that, because you can be warped and molded in a bad way. And you can go down some pretty dark paths with regards to that. So just be very, very careful. But anyways, this stuff is incredibly important. Guys, I mean, financial freedom is incredibly, incredibly important. We are at an unprecedented time Our countries, we're told constantly that our economy is doing well, and yet I still find it hard to live. And I know that most of my friends find it hard to live, and my family members find it hard to live. If we're doing so well, and if we truly are prosperous, then why is it so gosh darn difficult to live? Why is everything so much more expensive? And it seems like it's getting expensive faster than the money that we're making at our jobs. Why is that? Why is it that, when these collapses, these crashes, these recessions come, we end up losing our jobs and now we're screwed, and it takes us years to recover? I mean, it particularly with regards to our investments. Our investments take even longer to recover. Or in our property values, if you guys own a home, me and my wife, we just purchased a house a few weeks ago. This is our third week living on our brand new home. And guys, I mean, I can tell you right now, I feel like I'm buying at the top of the market. I really do. And in reality, although I'm very happy of buying a house, my wife is pregnant with my first child. We're having a daughter, a little girl. I'm very excited about that. So we wanted to buy a house so that when we had our little girl, we would have a new home to bring her to. To be honest, I fear I bought a house at the top of the market. And that's a scary thought to me. That is a very scary thought, because there was something that happened in my past years ago, or at least to some of my family members, that just really hurt them very badly financially. And I don't really know if I really want to go into it today. It's kind of an emotional topic, but and eventually I will probably go into that, and because that, I think, it wasn't what sparked all of my journey through, of becoming financially free and all that, but it was, I think, what allowed me to have an open mind to all of it. A lot of people, you talk to them, they're making good money, or maybe they're not making good money. They just don't have an open mind to this kind of stuff. Well, to be completely honest, people who've experienced a lot of heartache financially, they tend to sometimes. It's obviously not all the cases. There are obviously exceptions to the rules, but they tend to have, I don't know how to describe it, guys. They tend to be very, very open to new ideas. But normally you don't see that with people who haven't had a really big shock in their life like that. So it's incredibly important, guys, that we become financially free. And I can't say this enough. Guys, we need to become financially free. We need to control the source of our incomes. It's the most empowering thing that we can possibly ever do. Incomes are not rising at the rate of inflation, if you want to call it that, with regards to prices going higher, price inflation, right? I don't really want to get into the topic of inflation. That's a story for another time, but inflation really isn't what a lot of people think it is. A lot of people, I guess we can get into it briefly. Inflation is the increase in the monetary supply. That's all it is. Inflation is not prices going higher or money being exchanged quickly, the velocity of money. Inflation is simply the increase in the monetary supply. Money exchanging hands, the velocity of money, how quickly it's moving, and prices going higher, those are just symptoms of inflation, but they are not inherently inflation. And when we think about those things, when we think about inflation, we shouldn't think about the symptoms. We need to think about what the actual disease is. And the actual disease is the increase in the monetary supply. Okay? That's what inflation is. So anyways, wages are never increasing at the same rate that inflation is, or price inflation. So there's the little caveat there. When we're talking about price inflation, we are talking about prices going higher. When we're talking about inflation, we're only talking about the monetary supply increasing, which usually causes price inflation, but not all the time. If I print a lot of money and I go off and I buy houses, that doesn't necessarily mean that gold's going to go up. You see, all that inflated dollars was circulated in the housing market. And maybe it was only circulated in a certain regional location. It wasn't even circulated across the entire United States. So in the end, even real estate, if I circulate it only in the Texas market, that money may eventually find its way elsewhere. But for a long time, New Hampshire, North and South Dakota, Tennessee, California, their markets are not going to go up in terms of their real estate values are not going to go up because I only circulated it inside of the Texas real estate market. So price inflation does not rise evenly all throughout, but I hope I explained that well enough, but ultimately you guys get the point. And if you don't, leave a comment in the section below if you're watching this on YouTube, and I'll definitely do another episode. We will be talking about inflation and economics a lot more. Oh, and also to be more specific of the field of economics that I lean towards and I subscribe to, that would be Austrian economics. And Austrian economics it's a very unique form of economics. I don't know. When I was growing up, I had no idea there were so many different forms of schools of economic thought, ways of thinking about economics. I had no idea there were so many. There's the Keynesian school. There's the Austrian economic school. There's also the Chicago school, supply side, although I think supply side and Chicago school is the same thing. There's behavioral economics, there's complexity economics, there's tons, and there's the classical school of economics. There's tons of different schools of economic thought that exist. And I don't know about you guys, but I was never taught about that. I was never taught of how many different forms of economics there were, schools of economic thought there were. I never was. But the form of economics that I subscribe to would be the school of Austrian economics. So I'm very much an Austrian economic enthusiast. And yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. That's for the most part, that's who I am. I do apologize with regards to jumping around topics and whatnot. I tend to get off on tangents, and that's a big part of who I am. I will try to control that as I am recording these episodes, but you guys are going to have to kind of bear with me, if you will. You're going to have to bear with me a little bit on that. So anyways, guys, I hope that gives you guys a good overview of the show. Just to give you guys a short recap, financial freedom and economics, controlling the source of your income. We're going to talk about personal finances, trading, investing. We're going to talk about economics, more specifically Austrian economics. We're going to be busting a lot of economic myths that Keynesians and all other economists like to pump out there. We're going to be talking about a ton of stuff. And some days we're just going to be talking about whatever the heck I want. Whether it's my faith, whether it's a movie that I watched, whatever. It's not going to matter. This is a show about whatever I want it to be. Okay? We're obviously going to have a huge direction of financial freedom and economics, but that's not all of it. There will be times when we talk about other stuff. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys like the sound of that. I hope you guys really want to learn more. And if you guys want to learn more, go ahead and check out my website, newmillenniumwealth.com, and go check out my YouTube channel, Matthew Spositi. Also, you can check out my Facebook, New Millennium Wealth as well, where I will post a lot of my new postings on my website and my videos for my YouTube channel, all kinds of stuff. Guys, please help me share this message of financial and economic freedom with the rest of the world. Help me grow this community of individuals who all have a similar mindset, who all want to come together and become financially free and help each other become financially free. If you guys will do that for me, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Guys, know the risks, plan accordingly, and have a great day.